My uncle, who was a Boston police, he worked on the gang unit, um, was one of my favorite uncles. He's my godfather, and all the family events always happen at his house. All the family birthdays, Halloweens, Thanksgivings, Christmases, New Year's, everybody always gather up at his house. So I come from a very large family. My mother comes from a family of 13 siblings and brothers. Um, so you can imagine how big, you know. And then when I was 6, 7 years old, it all stopped. My uncle moved away to Florida. When he moved away to Florida, the family just stopped being a family. There was no more get-togethers. There was no more holidays, celebrations together. There was no more birthdays, you know. Cousins lost contact with each other. I got cousins I haven't spoken to in over 25 years. You know, when you're young at that age, there's a lot of things that's hard to understand that you don't understand until after you become an adult. And at 7 years old, I did not know that that was the beginning of my family not ever being a family ever again. You can't get my uncles into one room, any of them, the way that they used to be. I got a family picture in my house that's got a picture of my grandmother with all her kids and all her kids, like all my cousins, you know. And that's the only picture that you ever see of my family like that. Mm. Nobody. My grandmother just died 2 days ago. She's been on hospice for 3 months. And half of her sons didn't even come to her deathbed to go see her. Would refuse to be in the same room with another brother or sister. I got aunts that I haven't seen in years who refused to come see her, my grandmother, to bury her because of whatever past injustice they went through with their family. That I don't know. The only thing I know about my family is that a lot of my aunts suffer from mental illnesses. They suffer from addiction. They suffer from alcoholism. But I remember a time growing up with them where we look forward to going to seeing them on Christmas or seeing them on Thanksgiving. And, you know, my family was tight. When my uncle moved away, everything broke off. Like, there was no more family get-togethers. You know, there was no more contact with other cousins. You know, my Uncle Raymond, my grandmother died, and my uncle refused to go say his farewells because of whatever, you know. And I don't take away how he feels. I don't understand what my grandma put him through. I don't understand why he feels so much hate and animosity towards his mother. I can't speak for my uncle. I can speak on the point of view as being the grandchild and knowing that my grandma for the last 20 years has cried and begged for forgiveness and has begged just for one conversation and never got it. There's no unity in my family. And because of that, of what happened between my mother's siblings, that negativity has rubbed off to my siblings. To where in my family, there really is no unity amongst my brothers and my sisters either. Like, I love my brothers and my sisters, don't get it wrong, you know. But we all suffer from mental health issues. We all suffer some form of addiction. At 9, I was giving up. Me and my sister was given up to the state by my mother. You know, my mother at this time was very physically abused by my stepfather. And she allowed a lot of things. She allowed for us to view and witness a lot of things that we shouldn't have been witness to. You know, both my fathers were drug kingpins. My real father was a drug kingpin in Connecticut, was part of the military, but had a lot of drugs coming in through the military planes. And then my other father was a drug kingpin out of PR, then moved to Boston, and ended up supplying half the city for a long time. You know? So my mother's choice of men weren't the ideal men that we would tell our daughters to look for and be engaged with. My mother's choice of men were drug dealers, drug kingpins that sold a lot of drugs and made a lot of money. I grew up in houses where there was piles of bricks of coke, money, weed. I grew up around all that, guns. This is what I was allowed to see as a child growing up. My family's from Chicago, South Side, Lafayette Park, Crumble Park, straight from the motherland. The majority of all, my grandfather was a Latin king. My uncles were Latin kings. My Uncle George was a Spanish cobra. But this is ingrown in the family. Like, this is the traditions that my family came from. I felt some type of way for a long time, but I'm at an age right now where I accept things are what they are. And I can't continue holding animosity about injustices that I felt as a child now at the age of 42 as a grown man when I got 1,000 other little niggas following me.